She's excited to learn of new teaching methods to use in her classroom.
Good morning. I'm in Biloxi, Mississippi. My work paid for me to come to this conference. It's called Making Connections. This is the first day. I'm so excited to see what all I can learn today. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Lots of different places. And so,
Dude, that is the coolest thing I've seen all day. I'm doing a quick check-in. It has been so much fun. I saw the first superintendent I worked for. I saw my last principal I worked for. Oh my gosh, I missed him so much. He was like the best ever. I saw a teacher that I used to work with, and I heard that another teacher from that school is going to be presenting on Friday. So I'm excited. I got to meet a lot of people, walked around, we're on a lunch break. And I guess I'm gonna chill for a minute and I'll check back in with you guys later. Tell you what I've learned. Bye-bye. Did I mention I got interviewed for the news? I'm gonna be on the news probably today. Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm so shy. Did y'all know that? I'm so shy and I'm so introverted, and I had to talk to a lot of people today, but I got a lot of cool information and I got a lot of cool stuff. So I'm excited.
She's excited to learn of new teaching methods to use in her classroom.
I'm mainly focusing on the math sessions and things I can do to break skills down to make it easier for my kids to learn them.
The conference features more than 100 breakout sessions.
I might go back this way. I was gonna stay near there.
Hey y'all, I made it home and it was a good day. The first session I went to was called Not Your Mother's Math Class, and I learned a couple of strategies from there, and it was really interesting. And the next one was the one on how to look at the data, and I feel like both are really going to help me do better next year. I'll get more on that later. Bye.
Good morning. This is day 2 at the Coast Coliseum in Biloxi, Mississippi. I'm here at the Making Connections conference, and I'm hoping today will be as exciting as it was yesterday. I'm really looking forward to it to see what all I can learn so I can share with you guys. All right, I'll check in later. Bye-bye.
This is Matt's executive. You guys want to try it? You like it? That's smart. That's Matt's
It's following the lines.
So those are some great things for like, oh, circle maze is a cool little game for, and you can find some subscriptions. Oh yeah, they're amazing. So let your thumb down, don't press your thumb down, just rub it with your controller. And he's kind of tiny. You can lock everything to him. I won't let you run into anything. Or you can press your thumb out and then get there, and then release it, and it'll be right back. There you go. That's really cool. You can see your pro. And your kids will pick this up.
So press your thumb down. And the line's around. So like if you go to the left where it says North Face, you see that to your left? Aim it that way. And when it's green, you let go, you'll jump there. So that's how you move around large spaces for reality. Right now, press it again. And go to your left, turn your left, or right over your left. Aim it that way, and you're at the edge of the mountain. Oh my God! Okay? And you can walk forward again. I don't like it. Look up. Alright, so then press the button again. And turn your right. There you go. Aim it one of those. And you'll start to, and turn some more. And press again. Turn it, there, go up there. Oh, I want to go. Yeah, there you go. So then at the south face, where it says south face up there. There you go. That's it. See, you already get the small jump. Jump up there. That's perfect. Sorry. Yeah, that's how you do it. Isn't this cool? So these are the stations.
That's the electricity tool in the world. You guys ever do like?
Good morning. All right, so staying with the high school theme, this is what our page looks like when you can learn. So we're going to post the videos later this summer. So if you want to be the first one to know when these high school videos are posted, just please go to the website, give us your email address, and we will let you know that as soon as they're all finished editing and out and ready to go. So this morning we're going to share with you the one that's called Knock 'em Out. So, like yesterday, we're going to practice 2 of the moves because these high schoolers created this. So, it requires a little practice. So, we're going to start with what's called Alright, we're going to lead off on the shoulder brush. Alright, everybody? Right. Stand on this. Keep playing.
Look at it.
Alright.
Brush off.
Brush off. There's something
Oh, there you go.
on your shoulder.
Brush it off, man. Brush off the negativity. Get there again. Get the minute, baby.
From Burlington, North Carolina. Jean was Miss North Carolina in 1960.
The reason I'm pulling this chair around here is I broke my femur a couple of years ago. Did you notice I did not say I broke my leg? With all respect to people who have broken the leg is nothing compared to the femur. I didn't know that I knew this much about football. I knew what they should do. I knew that they had not thrown the ball to this one receiver the entire day. And therefore, now would be the good time to pass the ball to him, except the other coach knew the same thing. So we would use him as a decoy and send him over here jumping all around. And then this one would go down here and cut across and get the ball and go home. That's exactly what they did. And they scored. And then I realized I was watching a replay.
Wow, that was a lot of fun. It's been an interesting morning. I got to play with a virtual reality set. I got to see this keynote speaker. Her name was Jeannie Robertson. We listened to her speak for like 2 hours and it did not feel like it one little bit. She is so funny. Oh my goodness, I really enjoyed watching her. She's a Southern lady and she won Miss North Carolina and she had so many funny stories. Wow. while it's still somewhat fresh on my mind, let me talk to you about what I learned yesterday. Okay, so the first session I went to was Not Your Mother's math class. They shared a quote with us: if the brain is numb, if the bum is numb, so is the brain. So basically what that's saying is if the kids are sitting around and they're just sitting there listening to you, their brain goes numb. So that's a good tip. So the whole point was to get us out of our seats, and boy did they. You probably saw earlier in the video for day one us walking around. We were trying to find a partner. Let me explain. The activity we were doing was called musical share. And basically everybody had a fraction and they would play music and we had to walk around the room, just randomly walk around the room. When the music stopped, they would call out a number, say 3, and you had to find a group of 3 and then put yourselves in order from least to greatest. Then they would ask you to hold up your cards, they would check, and then the music would start again. And then we'd go find another group of partners and then they determine how many. So that's what you saw earlier in the video, and it was so much fun. I plan on using this, and you can use that in your classroom as well. Another thing that I learned from that session is retention rate is 90% if the kids are up doing something. And a lot of you probably already knew that, but that's good to know. So as long as the kids are saying and doing something, they're more likely to retain it by 90%. So we can learn a lot from those elementary teachers with this. Yeah. Keep in mind is retention rate is minutes per age. So if you teach 10-year-olds, then you need to try to keep your activities to 10 minutes apiece. If you teach 12-year-olds, it needs to be about 12 minutes apiece. Keep in mind this also tops out at 20. Please do not go over 20 minutes for an activity. Okay, so that's what I learned from the first session, or at least that's what I came away with. So the second session I went to kind of had a long title, but it was presented by my former superintendent. It was the first year I taught and I was in his school. But it's kind of a long title, so let me look at my notes. The title of this session was called Managing Individual Student Data at a Classroom Level. Basically what I got from his session is unless you have data to back up what you're saying or evidence, it's just an opinion. So keep that in mind. Unless you can back up what you're saying and what you're doing with data, it's just an opinion and it's not necessarily going to work. As with teachers, we are on a 180-day journey. And what he mainly forced upon us, no, that doesn't sound good, what he placed upon us, what he was trying to tell us was that why can't next year be the best year ever? Why can't it? Let's make that happen. And you make that happen with data. So you need to know where your kids are, who's struggling with skills and who is not. So you can make sure that every child is getting the interventions they need so they master this. This is someone's life. We can't just say, oh, 90% is good, we'll do that. No, you need to try to make sure everyone gets it. The presenter also enforced that we need to celebrate. The presenter also said that we need to celebrate all of these academic achievements, especially if we have a child that doesn't really do that well on tests, or they don't really do well on these assessments, and then they grow or they do really well. We need to celebrate that. And if we don't, we've missed an opportunity to make that child feel good and celebrated and want to keep being successful. He also said, replace all children can learn with all children will learn. So, they can learn. No. They will learn. And if there's students in your class, you're going to be like, all right, I got 20 of you, and every one of you is going to learn. You're going to learn. You will learn. Not you can. You're gonna. Okay? Okay. Another thing I learned from this session, the second session yesterday, was treat every child with dignity and respect. And obviously this is a no-brainer, but even if a child's getting on your nerves, they deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. So, keep that in mind even on those days that are a little bit harder than others. Also know that little things can make a difference in their lives, in their academic success. And maybe they'll be the future leader of the world. Lastly, you need to look at your bottom 25%. The bottom 25% gives your school more growth points. If you can grow 67% of that bottom 25, your school will experience growth. Try for 100, but 67 or more, okay? All right, so that's what I took away from the second session, and I just, like I said, just saw that wonderful speaker, and then when I go back in, I'm going to visit 2 more sessions, and it is going to be good. I'll check back in with you whenever we're all done. See ya later, alligators.
There, if you leveled it off at 8, there would be the mean. So what do you see? Add 1 extra, good. And I'm going to take that 1 extra and put it where? I'm going to give it to Joyce. Okay, Joyce has it. Because that's all I need for her to be at the line.
Y'all didn't know each other. All right, start the game. We're going to have to play. All right, here it is. Join the game with the code.
I am done. I'm ready to go home. So I will update you guys tomorrow. See you then. Bye. It is the last day at the Making Connections conference in Biloxi, Mississippi, and I'm kind of running late, so I'm going to update you guys on the 2 sessions I went to yesterday. And oh, by the way, they were amazing, both of them. Also, I'll talk about the keynote speaker I missed on the first day, Mccloud, who, oh my gosh, I've heard him speak before, but I'm so sad I missed him this time, and I want to talk about what I learned from him because, ooh, he's good. And so right now I'm going into a conference about inequalities, and the second one is going to be led by the lady that I worked with at an old school. So both should be very interesting, and I'll tell you all about that and what I learned from yesterday's session. So see you after it. Okay, bye.
The one in the quadrant two.
Are they mistakes?
No.
Okay, so it says you're equal to, so we have several points on the line, and y'all are telling me that that is a solution.
Right.
Okay.
Everybody's searching for a hero. People need someone to look up to. Never found anyone who fulfilled my need. A lonely place to be. And then I learned to depend on me. Good morning, everybody. We want to welcome you here this morning. We're glad that you took out your part of your summer to come and learn something to take back into the classroom. And we would like to just welcome you here today.
Integrate math and reading together. Another way that you can have your kids do is create a math interactive book, even with the little things that you have on your table, so y'all can kind of take notes in this today. So this will be your little interactive book for today. And each time that you do a unit, you have your kids or your students to jot down your vocabulary words and things like that. We'll get into that a little bit later as well. But you can use like there's 2 sheets of paper stapled together to keep up with all your worksheets and things of that nature in your unit. I've used the paper and I've also used the composition books as well as your interactive books.
Happy birthday to you.
Thank y'all. Thank you. All right, good morning to everybody.
Morning.
Good morning again to everyone.
Morning.
Every morning when my students come in, they always say good morning to me, and I say good morning to them. Then all the other teachers in the building model what I was doing. But because the greatest love of all is happening to me, I found the greatest love of all inside of me. Thank you. We are giving door prizes. We got about 10 door prizes. You got to be present to win. So if your friend gone, they won't get it, okay? We're going to do this right quick. Let's go.
All right, I am all done with this conference. I enjoyed it, and whenever I get home a little later, I will tell you guys what I learned in my 2 sessions yesterday and today. All right, see you then.
To get here, it was raining, there was lots of traffic, but I am back. Let me tell you about Mark Mccloud. He was the presenter on the opening day and I missed him. Now, I've seen him before and he was amazing, and I've talked to people and they said that what he discussed was different from what I heard. So let me tell you about when I heard Mark Mccloud speak. Basically, he said you need to look at your students as bank accounts. So you make emotional deposits, compliments, oh, you did that really well. Oh my gosh, I like the way you figured that out. Emotional deposits before you can make a withdrawal. Johnny, you need to stop doing that. I don't like what you just did there. Or whatever. So basically, he said that you need to keep building your students up, and the more deposits you make with your students, the more you can do withdrawals and they'll respect you for it. So I just wanted to add that little piece. He talks about way more different things than that, but that was really good, and that's what I took away from when I heard him speak before. The first session I went to on day 2 was measures of central tendency from conceptual to centers. So she was telling you how to deal with mean, median, mode, and range with centers where the kids could understand it conceptually. Now, the person that I went to the conference with, he described the mean in the best way I've ever heard it described before. So the presenter, Ms. Brewer, asked us to describe the mean without saying the steps, you know, add all the numbers and divide by the number of numbers. Now, my partner in crime on this convention fiasco thing we went to, he said the way you could describe the mean is to fill up an aquarium with sand. And in this aquarium, you'll have hills, you'll have mountains, and so those are your different numbers. Now, to get the mean, you shake it up, and where that sand is level is the mean. It's the average of all the numbers. So I really liked that.
All right, so there, if we leveled it off at 8, there would be the mean. So what do you see?
For the second session, second day, please excuse me while I look at my notes. The title of the session was called Using Technology to Motivate Your Students and Improve Classroom Management. So basically, the presenter was from my home county, and that was kind of neat to hear him talk. He talks like all the people on my mom's side, and it was kind of like being around my family.
Y'all get to know each other. All right, start game. We're going to have to play. All right, here it is. Join the game back with the coach.
Basically, gave us a lot of different websites and technology we could use in our classroom in order to keep the kids motivated. Okay, so I'm still looking at my notes, sorry. The first one was Pear Deck. It's an add-on for Google Slides. Basically, this makes your PowerPoints interactive. So that's pretty cool because like they'll have, say, if you have a set of Chromebooks or they all have cell phones, they can get this on their phone. You share a code, they join, and they can actually put in their answers to questions you have embedded into the PowerPoint. So I thought that was really cool. The website he talked about was Edpuzzle. Some of you are familiar, but I was not. Basically, it has a lot of videos, or you can add videos and you can have questions within the video. So like say we're watching a video on how to convert fractions into decimals. They'll watch the video, and throughout the video it'll pause, ask a question. If they get it right, they keep going. If they get it wrong, they can rewatch the video or try again to get the right answer. So I thought that was very helpful, and I plan on trying it out. That's Edpuzzle, by the way. Another one he talked about was Quizlet. He said this is a great way for kids to study. Apparently it's about $3 a month, $35.99 for a full year. And one thing he had us do was Quizlet Live. And so we all were assigned teams, and we had to run around and work as partners to answer questions. And if we got it wrong, we started right back at 0. I got kicked out and didn't get to do it, but I got some good footage. So briefly talked about clickers. I didn't really get much from that because we were running out of time because he had given us so much amazing information. But one thing he did mention was Classcraft. And I have used Classcraft a little bit, but it's so cool. It's like a way, like a classroom management tool, and the kids get to create their own avatar, and then they get so many points by doing things right in your classroom, and then they can use those points later, and it's pretty darn cool. So Classcraft was another one. Okay, on to today. Today we did not have an opening session, but I did have 2 sessions that I went to. First session was called Engaging Inequalities, and the presenter was amazing. She was so nice. She gave us all these resources and activities we could use. This was basically meant for 6th grade up, and I'm not going to get into it too much because apparently these resources are copyrighted for a full year. I didn't know lessons could be copyrighted, but apparently they can be. But anyway, she gave us lots of information on how to make inequalities come to life. My favorite thing she did was she gave everybody a number between like -6 and 6. And she had us all go up and make a number line. And then she put a bunch of inequalities on the board. And then she would have the people that's number satisfied that inequality raise up. And then we had to explain why. And say there was an inequality we were having trouble with. She was like, okay, talk it out, talk it out. So that was really cool. We all lined up, held up our numbers if it satisfied the inequality, and it was a way to talk and discuss and get kids to really understand what that inequality meant. So I thought that was really cool. So that's the one I'm going to talk about. And the last session I went to, my favorite session of the whole thing, and I think I have a biased opinion on that because the lady who did it was named Miss Marshall. And when I taught elementary before I came to where I am now, she was one of the math teachers. And anytime I needed inspiration or like how to teach something so my kids can understand, I would go into her classroom and sit and watch. I was happy that she shared a lot of those strategies in this session today. Now, that session was called Welcome to the Real Math, Math in Action. So I could do a whole video series just on her. And if you see the video clips I'm about to put up, you will see what I'm saying. She makes everything simple and easy
to understand.
When you look at the textbook, this is the way the textbook teaches you how to subtract. You see all that crossing up top? That's where kids get mixed up in. They go to crossing. I don't know, if you put their mama up top, they'll probably cross her out too and try to find the daddy or somebody to go with. Okay? So
I personally love her rules on how to tell if a fraction is in simplest form. I love the way she teaches long division and the shortcuts. I love the way she talks about multiplying 2-digit numbers by 2-digit numbers. All great stuff. I could really do a math video just on her simple tricks on how to get kids to understand basic concepts. So that would take too long, and this video is already getting a little long, so I'm not going to get into it too much now, but I'll put in video clips so you can see.
What I did was I separated. Okay? I took 323 times 24. I tell them, they know we multiply the ones column first. So we did 323 times 4. That's the ones. But before we can move over to this one, we had to bring a placeholder down, which was the 0. Okay? And I told them, don't go next door unless you got that placeholder there. Okay? That placeholder means we're moving over to the tens column. So they come over here, and then they bring this number up and line it up here. And now we're ready to add. And after they learned that it's the ones column first and 10 columns next, then we did standard algorithm. But they gotta know what they're doing. Okay? When those numbers are all up top, just like that subtraction, they get confused because they forget to mark them out. And they use them again. Okay? Are there any questions with this?
Okay, time to wrap up this video. I know it's been longer than my videos I've already had. And so far, I'm up to 3 subscribers. Whoop, 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 3 subscribers. Hopefully, I will get more. It has been a fun journey documenting this Making Connections conference in Biloxi, Mississippi. I've really enjoyed my time, and I hope you guys learned something through the things that I've learned and shared with you guys. So, I hope you all have an amazing, amazing day. I will see you in the next video, which really will be on how to survive your first day of school. I promise. But this conference came up and I was like, ooh, I gotta get this because it's really interesting to me. Maybe it'll be interesting to somebody else. So I promise, and I don't break promises, that my next video really will be on how to survive your first day of school. Y'all have a good day. Now, after talking to people at my tables, he did not discuss the same things that he discussed whenever I saw him. Really nothing. Really. Alright, so let me talk to you about the... That's where you're gonna sit? Really? That's it? Alright. I'm sorry. Okay, let me talk to you about the presenter that I missed the first day. Both my cats are clawing my prop, which is a chair. Yes, they are. Medium, mode, and range. Sorry, darn cats. Medium, mode, and range, and how we can describe that conceptually. Golly, these cats are driving me nuts. Sorry.